There's a particular kind of silence that hits you right before a storm. Not the weather kind, the life-altering, table-flipping, soul-throttling kind. I was sitting in my car outside a restaurant I didn't even like, invited by a woman I used to love. My wife, Ashley. She told me to meet her for dinner. "We need to talk," she'd texted, classic harbinger of doom. Still, I held on to a shred of optimism like it was a life raft. Maybe she wanted to patch things up. Maybe she missed the man who used to carry her across puddles and pretend to like quinoa. Instead, I walked into an ambush. The lighting was dim, the kind you see in movie scenes where someone's about to get dumped or die. And there she was, Ashley, seated at a corner table, smiling, but not at me. Next to her sat a man I'd never met, but somehow already despised. Tall, smug, dressed like a walking cologne ad. His shirt tight enough to qualify as a second skin. She gestured toward the seat across from them. "Logan, this is Chase. You've heard me mention him from work." Mention him. He'd become the most over-referenced man in our marriage. Chase thinks this, Chase says that. Chase is so understanding. It was like living in a sitcom where the punchline was always someone else loving your wife better than you. Still I sat. And still I smiled. Because that's what you do when you don't want the wolves to know you're bleeding. "Nice to meet you," I said, offering a handshake. Chase didn't take it. Instead, he leaned forward, his tone so calm it could have been mistaken for kindness. "I'll make this simple, Logan. You've got two options. Leave quietly, or face me like a man." Ashley didn't flinch, didn't even blink. She smiled. I heard those words echo in my head. Leave quietly, or face me like a man. This wasn't just a dinner. It was the final episode of a show I didn't know I was starring in. The betrayal wasn't whispered anymore. It was printed in bold letters across a wine menu. I looked at him, then at her. Then I laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because my whole life had turned into a joke, and it was my cue to deliver the punchline. The moment I stood up from that table, something inside me changed. Not in a soap opera, thunder-crashing sort of way. More like a door clicking shut inside my soul. Quiet. Permanent. I didn't throw a fit. I didn't cause a scene yet. I just looked Chase square in the eye and said, "You know what? You're right. This is simple." Then I walked out. I left the restaurant, but not the fight. Because as I stood outside in the cold, hands shoved into my jacket pockets, staring at my reflection in the restaurant window, I realized something brutal. This wasn't the start of the affair. This was the finale. I hadn't walked into a dinner. I'd walked into a goodbye party where I was the only one without a gift bag. The ride home was a blur. I don't remember turning the key in the ignition. I don't remember the traffic lights. What I do remember is how quiet the house felt when I stepped inside. There was something off. Not the furniture, not the scent, not the lighting. It was like the air had been rearranged. You ever walk into a room and feel that someone else has been there? That was the whole house. Ashley's perfume still lingered in the hallway. But there was another scent mixed in. Musky. Arrogant. A cologne that had never belonged in my home. A man's cologne. His. I walked into the bedroom. The bed was made. Tightly. Precisely. Like a hotel bed. She never made the bed like that. Ever. I sat on the edge, stared at the nightstand, and tried to picture how we got here. 100 late nights. 1,000 lies disguised as overtime. 1,000,000 little betrayals that finally formed the mosaic I was staring at now. Then came the text. From her. "You didn't have to do that. You embarrassed yourself." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Let's talk." Just judgment. Cold, clean, and surgical. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry either. I sat in the living room with a notepad and a pen and started writing down everything I'd missed. Patterns. Names. Gaps. I started putting the puzzle together. Because now I wasn't the betrayed husband. I was the investigator. And this wasn't going to end in silence. I didn't have a detective's license or a magnifying glass. But let me tell you, I had something better. Motivation. Ashley had underestimated one thing. The quiet resolve of a man with nothing left to lose. I started simple. Her laptop. She never logged out of her email. A rookie mistake for someone running a secret life. Within 5 minutes, I found folders with names that weren't mine. Chase_pitch was one of them. Business, I assumed. Until I opened it. Not a single document had anything to do with marketing strategies. Unless weekend proposal, winky face, is code for quarterly reports. I clicked on it. My hands didn't shake. They just clicked. One photo at a time. A hotel room. Wine glasses. His shirt, her dress, the look on her face, one I hadn't seen in years. That look used to be for me. She used to laugh like that with me. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not out of joy, no. This was something colder, sharper. A smile born from confirmation. I printed the photos. Not to confront her. Not yet. I needed evidence. I needed control. I needed to become the man she thought she could outsmart. The next few days were an act. Oscar-worthy, if I say so myself. Babe, want me to pick up your dry cleaning? You're working late again? No problem. Chase? Oh yeah, he seems like a great guy. I even sent him a LinkedIn request. The best lies were honesty like a cheap cologne. Hers was thick with it. Then came the voicemail. I was folding laundry when I heard her phone buzz. I shouldn't have looked. I know. But at this point, not looking would have been the real betrayal. Voicemail transcription popped up. Hey Ash, had a dream about you last night. That thing you were in Miami, man. I can't stop thinking about it. Friday can't come fast enough. Don't forget the key, winky face. Miami. We'd never been to Miami. I listened to the full message. Twice. Every syllable was a hammer to the ribs, and every word built the wall between us higher and stronger. Friday. A key. A plan. Well, I had a plan too. She wanted to play games? Fine. But I wasn't playing to win. I was playing to end it. Friday couldn't come fast enough. But unlike Chase, I didn't want it for the thrill, I wanted it for the reveal. For the final curtain call in a show they didn't know I was directing. In the days leading up to it, I played my part to perfection. I smiled when I kissed her forehead goodbye each morning. I asked about her day with all the enthusiasm of a talk show host. I even cooked dinner Tuesday night and made her favorite shrimp scampi. She said, "You're being sweet lately," like it was a crime. I just smiled. Just trying to be a better husband. Her eyes darted. Maybe a flicker of guilt. Maybe gas. Hard to tell. Thursday night, she packed a bag. Just a quick work conference, she claimed. South Beach. Business casual. I watched her fold lingerie into that suitcase with the precision of a bomb technician. Oh, is that new? I asked casually. She didn't even flinch. Yeah, picked it up on sale. I nodded. Smart. She was good. I'll give her that. Polished. Practiced. But I'd seen better poker faces on dogs. She left Friday morning. Pecks on the cheek. Air of obligation. I'll call you when I land, she said. Safe travels, I replied, sipping coffee I didn't even want. I waited exactly 10 minutes before going into motion. See, while she was prepping for her romantic getaway, I'd been busy too. I'd called in a favor from a guy I used to work with, Charlie, an ex-cop turned PI who now mostly tracked cheating spouses and insurance fraud. Business was booming. Charlie wasn't cheap, but you get what you pay for. Within 3 days, he had Ashley's flight details, hotel reservation, and get this, the room number. They weren't even trying to be discreet. Booked under her maiden name. Classy. He even gave me a copy of the key card. That's not technically legal, I said. Charlie shrugged. Neither is adultery in some states. He had a point. Now, here's where most men would charge in, fist flying, heart racing. But I wasn't most men. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted them to see. I booked the hotel room right next door to theirs. Same floor. I even checked in early to get the lay of the land. Room 1412. They were in 1410. At 6:45 p.m., I watched them arrive from the lobby bar. She was dressed in that little black number I found in her email photos. The one I never saw in our closet. Her hand was wrapped around his bicep like it belonged there. They kissed in the elevator. I watched from the bar's mirrored column. His hands roamed like they had a leash on her body. She didn't stop him. When the elevator doors closed, I finished my drink, stood up, and walked toward the elevators like a man with a business meeting, calm, focused, completely hollow inside. Upstairs, I waited. 10 minutes. Then 20. I wasn't there to catch them in the act. I didn't need that mental baggage. I was there to leave something behind. A gift. A final act. I slipped the note under their door. Handwritten. Simple. Smile for the camera. This is the last time you'll be in my life together. Along with it, I slid a flash drive. It contained a compilation. Every photo I'd found. Every message I'd saved. Every voicemail I'd transcribed. A greatest hits of betrayal. I'd also added something special, a video. It was me, sitting in our living room, staring straight into the camera. Hi, Chase. Hi, Ashley. Don't worry, I won't interrupt your little retreat. Consider this your moment. Because it's the last one you'll ever have that doesn't come with consequences. I smiled at the camera, and it wasn't forced. By the time you see this, Ashley, your accounts will be frozen. The house? Mine. The car? Leased in my name. Your email? Changed the passwords this morning. Chase, I hope you're ready to support her, because she's going to need more than just protein powder and ego to get by. Then I raised a glass of scotch and toasted the camera. To endings. May yours be as thoughtful as your lies. I turned and left their hallway, my steps echoing down the carpeted floor. I didn't knock. I didn't linger. I simply walked back to the elevator, pressed the button, and descended like a man returning from war, tired, but undefeated. Back in my car, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, and let the weight of it all settle in my chest like a stone at the bottom of a river. Because revenge isn't about hurting someone. Not really. It's about clarity. About taking back control from the hands that twisted it. And as I drove away from that hotel, leaving behind the woman I once loved and the man she chose instead, I realized something. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. The fallout didn't come in fireworks. It came in silence. Saturday passed without a single call from Ashley. No text. No, you're being immature message. Not even a half-hearted, can we talk? She had seen the package I left. That much was certain. And for the first time in this entire charade, she didn't have a comeback ready. I imagined the moment she slid the flash drive into her laptop. Her breath catching. That subtle panic in her chest as she realized I wasn't just angry, I was prepared. Chase probably tried to act cool about it. Maybe cracked a joke. Maybe told her I'd get over it. But here's the thing. You don't get over betrayal. You get past it. And getting past it means leaving behind anything that smells like compromise. I spent Saturday clearing out her half of the closet. Neatly. Respectfully. I folded every shirt, every pair of jeans, every yoga pant. Even the ones I suspected weren't bought for actual yoga. I packed them into boxes and left them by the door. Then I changed the locks. Sunday morning, she came home. I was sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the sun rise like nothing had changed. She stepped out of the Uber with a sheepish look. Designer sunglasses. Tired lips. That expensive carry-on bag I bought her last Christmas trailing behind her like a guilty dog. She didn't say anything at first. Just stood there on the sidewalk, staring up at the door like she didn't recognize it. Then finally, Logan, what is this? Morning, I said, taking a sip. You're just in time. Forecast says the day starts cloudy with a chance of should have thought this through. She rolled her eyes, but I caught the flicker of uncertainty. I get that you're upset, she started, voice softer now. But we can talk this out. I raised an eyebrow. We? You mean you and Chase? Because you two seem to be handling communication just fine these days. That's not fair. I stood, walking down the steps until I was standing just a few feet from her. Fair? You ambushed me with a breakup at a dinner table like we were on some twisted reality show. You lied for months. And now that the lights are back on and the cameras are off, you want to talk about fairness. Her mouth opened, then closed. She wasn't used to this version of me. Calm. Sharp. Unshakable. I made a mistake, she whispered. You made a decision, I corrected. Let's not pretend it was a typo on your marriage vows. She looked down at her shoes. Classic avoidance maneuver. Always hated eye contact when the truth got uncomfortable. I didn't mean for it to get this far. But you let it. And then you tried to turn me into the villain. You wanted me to walk out so you could sleep easy. No, she stopped herself. Then quieter, I thought I wanted something else. I tilted my head. And did you find it? She looked up then. And for a moment, I saw it. The regret. Not because she missed me, but because the fantasy didn't feel so shiny anymore. Chase, she hesitated, then sighed. He's not who I thought he was. Neither were you, I said flatly. That's the problem. She looked like she wanted to argue, to cry, maybe even to scream. But she didn't. She just nodded. What now? She asked. I gestured to the boxes. Your things are packed. I'll have the papers delivered this week. She blinked. You already filed. And before you ask, yes. I made sure you get your share. I'm not here to leave you penniless, Ashley. Just gone. There was a pause. Heavy. Like the final note of a song neither of us wanted to sing. You really hate me that much, she whispered. I didn't answer right away. Just looked at her. Really looked at her. No, I said finally. I just don't respect you anymore. And without that, love's got nothing to stand on. She nodded, picked up the boxes one by one and loaded them into the Uber, her silence louder than any apology she could have offered. She didn't look back as she got in. I didn't watch her leave. But inside, deep down where it still ached, I felt something shift. Not peace, exactly, but freedom. And that was close enough. The funny thing about betrayal is how far its shadow reaches. You think it's just between two people, him, her, and the fool she married. But betrayal's got long arms. It taps friends on the shoulder, drops bombs at family dinners, and echoes down hallways you forgot were part of your life. By Monday, the fallout had legs. I got a call from her sister first, Melanie, that tell it like it is type, except usually she's just telling other people's business. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Logan," she said, "not even a hello. Why is Ashley calling me in tears about a hotel and some flash drive?" I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling like it might offer divine guidance. Because reality finally RSVP'd to her fantasy. Melanie was quiet for a second. Then, she said, "You embarrassed her." "Oh, good," I said. "So she's still making this about her." "You sent her the photos?" "Nope. She sent those to me. I just returned the favor." Melanie exhaled. "I always told her Chase was a walking red flag. I just didn't think she'd be dumb enough to run it up the pole. Guess we both gave her too much credit." I hung up after that. Not out of anger. Just exhaustion. There's only so much revisionist history you can stomach before your ears go on strike. Next came the friends. Our mutuals. The couple friend bubble we'd built over the years, dinners, double dates, baby showers. Suddenly they all had questions. Some even had opinions. Text ranged from, "Man, I'm so sorry. Didn't see this coming," to, "Ashley says it was more complicated than that." Yes. Complicated. The go-to word for people who can't admit they wanted what they weren't supposed to have. I didn't respond to most of them. Let them wonder. Let the silence fill in the blanks. Then came the one I wasn't expecting. Her mom. Now, if you've never met Judy, picture a stern librarian with a permanent scowl and a voice that could curdle soup. She never liked me, thought I was too practical, which I think was code for not flashy enough for my daughter's Instagram stories. She called me on Wednesday. "Logan," she said, voice tight. "What exactly happened?" I was tempted to hang up, but something in her tone stopped me. Maybe it was the crack I heard when she said my name. Maybe I just needed to say it out loud one more time. She cheated, Judy, with her coworker. For months. I found out. I confronted her. And now I'm done. Silence. Then, I didn't raise her to do that. "No," I said quietly. But someone raised Chase to think he could. She sighed. A tired, weathered sound. "She's staying with us. Not saying much. Keeps blaming you." "Of course she does. Just thought you should know," Judy said. "You didn't deserve this." And that might have meant more, coming from someone else. But hey, points for effort. Later that night, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. It was a number I didn't recognize. The message was short. "I'm sorry. She said things about you that weren't true. You deserved better. Elena." Elena worked with Ashley. Same firm. Different department. We'd only met a few times, Christmas parties, summer mixers. She always struck me as someone who watched everything without saying much. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "Appreciate it. Hope she doesn't make you pick sides." Her response came fast. "She already did." I picked mine. I didn't press further. See, people think when a relationship ends, the world stops spinning. But it doesn't. The world keeps going. Only now, it's rearranged. People show you who they are, who they were pretending to be, and who they're too scared to become. Ashley had lost more than a marriage. She'd lost the illusion of being the adored one, the victim, the misunderstood woman just following her heart. That script only works when no one else has the receipts. And I had all of them. I wasn't parading them around. I wasn't airing it out online. But the people who mattered? They knew. The silence in Ashley's inbox was proof of that. By Friday, a week after Miami, I got a delivery. A box. Plain. No note. No signature. Inside? My old hoodie. The one she used to steal and never return. The one she wore on Sundays when we made pancakes and danced to cheesy 80s music in the kitchen. It was washed. Folded. Clean. But it smelled like someone who didn't have a home anymore. I held it for a second. Then I dropped it in the donation pile and walked out the door without looking back. They say healing isn't a straight line. They're right. It's a minefield. You'll be laughing with friends one day, and then flinch at a smell, a song, or a street you both used to walk. But I wasn't rebuilding to get her back. I was rebuilding to remember who I was before she buried me beneath her excuses. I started small. I changed the furniture around. Funny how a couch can stop feeling like a memory and start feeling like yours again when you move it 6 feet to the left. I rejoined the gym. Reconnected with people I'd lost during the Ashley show, friends who'd stopped inviting me places when every RSVP came with a +1 of drama. I even booked a weekend away. Alone. Some little cabin 2 hours north, no Wi-Fi, just trees and quiet and a fire pit. I brought a journal. Not to write poetry, but to dump the noise in my head. Entry 1. You didn't break me. You reminded me how strong I actually am. It felt good. Real. Like exhaling after holding your breath for a decade. But while I was walking forward, Ashley was falling apart. Mutual friends dropped breadcrumbs. Chase had ghosted her after Miami. Apparently, when the fantasy faded and real life came calling, so did his commitment issues. Turns out he doesn't like women who expect loyalty, one friend told me over coffee. She's back at her parents', spiraling. Part of me should have felt satisfied. But mostly, I just felt done. 2 months in, Ashley called. Blocked number. I answered anyway, curiosity, not compassion. Hi, she said, voice thinner than I remembered. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I messed everything up. I waited. No response necessary. Silence is powerful when wielded right. She kept talking. I was stupid. I thought I wanted freedom. I thought he understood me. But all he really understood was how to use people. More silence. I wanted her to feel the weight of every syllable she used to pierce me. Then she said it. Do you think we could ever try again? That did it. No, I said, voice calm. You weren't just unfaithful. You were cruel. You staged my heart break like a dinner party. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. She started to cry. I didn't flinch. I hope you find peace, I said. But it won't be here. I hung up. And just like that, the ghost was gone. A few weeks later, her mother showed up at my door. Judy, wrinkled, weathered, holding a brown envelope like it was a peace offering wrapped in guilt. She wrote you a letter, she said, handing it over. I didn't read it. I don't want to know. But I promised I'd deliver it. I took the envelope, more out of curiosity than closure. She nodded and left without another word. I waited until evening. I opened it after dinner, under the soft glow of the lamp we once picked out together, back when choosing lamps felt like love, not logistics. The letter was long. Too long. 8 pages of emotional unraveling. Apologies. Regrets. Flashbacks to our wedding day, our vacations, the first time she said, I love you. She mentioned Chase once. He was never worth what I threw away. She closed with, if I could go back and undo it all, I would. But life doesn't come with an eraser. I burned the letter in the fireplace, watched the pages curl and vanish. Not out of hate. Out of necessity. Some things don't belong in storage. They belong in ashes. You wanted revenge, right? Well, here's the final move. Not fists. Not shouting. Elegance. I threw a party. 6 months after the split, I sent out invites to friends and family. New beginnings, it said. Most assumed it was a housewarming or birthday bash. Ashley assumed nothing because she wasn't invited. That was intentional. At the party, I stood on the deck and raised a glass. To mistakes, I said. May they make us smarter, not bitter. And to freedom, the kind that costs you everything but gives you back your self-respect. Everyone clapped. Some knew the backstory. Others didn't need to. But the best part? I donated every last piece of jewelry she ever gave me to a charity auction. The final one, a gold watch with her initials engraved, sold for $3,000. I used it to start a scholarship fund for kids from broken homes. Called it the Second Sunrise Fund. Because here's the truth. The cruelest revenge isn't destroying someone. It's thriving in spite of them. Letting them sit in the ruins they built while you rise from the very rubble they thought would bury you.